And I would like to introduce more fully Stephanie Fanjul, who is the president of the North Carolina Partnership for Children, the organization that leads Smart Start. And among other leadership positions she has held, she has served as director of the North Carolina Division of Child Development in the state's Department of Health and Human Services from 1994 to 2000. And during those 7 years, Fanjul worked with advocacy groups, community organizations, and multiple partners to improve the quality and availability of childcare in North Carolina. Her strong leadership and creative approach resulted in several initiatives that distinguishes North Carolina from other states. She was instrumental in the creation of Smart Start, the design and implementation of the rated license for child care, the expansion of the child care subsidy system, and major efforts to improve and support the child care workforce. Please welcome Stephanie Fanjul.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you all for being here. I have this mixed bag of jobs. I'm supposed to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, done. But I'm also supposed to do the call to action. And how easy is this job after that presentation? So I want to talk just a minute. I want to bring a picture about what I heard today, and then and do the serve. This is the serve and return part. This is the serve. You get ready for the return, as Dr. Shankoff said. Now, I have this, not unlike the way Dr. Huff, I have an incredible perspective here because I know almost all of you in this room. And I have known you when we were raising children to now when we are raising and adoring and being totally ridiculous grandparents. And I know your work. I know that we have librarians and volunteers, that we have mental health specialists and people who work in the state bureaucracy. I know that in this room are people who have been doctors, pediatricians, mental health specialists, public health officials. We have community volunteers and activists, the resource and referrals, Smart Start, More at 4, pre-kindergarten, superintendents. I know who you are. And so it makes the call to action ever so much easier for me. And I know what it is that we've been doing for such a long time together. You know, I was reminded as we were listening early, back in, I think it was 1994, so the very, very beginning of Smart Start, I was asked to speak at the Children's Defense Fund annual meeting. This is Marian Wright Edelman's big meeting, 3,000 people, huge audience. And I kept trying to describe the very beginning of Smart Start because we were just sort of putting it together. Some of us talked about building the plane while it was 35,000 feet in the air. And the image that I came up with was making a quilt. And some of you may know a little bit, I know this much about quilting. There's quilting, there are quilt patterns, where there's a circle or a star or a piece that goes together. But that is not the Smart Start quilt. There is a quilt called the Crazy Quilt, which was really most likely the quilt that the folks who had the least material actually ended up having to make. The way it worked was whatever the shape you had, you stitched it in. So it was, you tried to sort of make it even so you could make good stitches, but it had no pattern at all. It had hundreds of pieces, all different colors, different shapes, and you fit it in and you stitched fast, and then you went to the other side and you stitched another big piece. And it got bigger and bigger. And that was the way I described back in 1994 what Smart Start, or what North Carolina was trying to do. We're taking the kids with special needs. We're trying to do the Head Start collaboration, picking up the R&R. What's the regulation look like? We've got a nonprofit. Are there any business people? Where's public health? What are we going to do about? We're putting all the pieces together. And the fact of the matter is, we are still doing that today. Now, it is huge. I want you to think about it. It is huge. It would cover this room. All these pieces we put together over the years. And it is so different and bright and hopeful and profoundly sort of effective. And like Dr. Shankoff said, it's not a new system. It's stitching another piece into the one that we've got. So I want to take it from that space where we built this huge quilt that speaks to the system to protect and hold the children of North Carolina. And I want to put it in the air. It's a tent now. get the spikes big, the big tall spikes like in a circus tent, and lift that thing up over our heads and make it huge, even bigger than it is today. Because that's where we are now. We have the possibility, we have the potential, we have the knowledge. We know the gap between what we do and what we know in North Carolina, we still have room. I mean, and it sort of makes me hyperventilate when Dr. Shonkoff says the science is moving faster. You know, the older you get, the slower you go. I mean, we can only keep up. So it's this huge tent we've now built. And so what we're doing today, that's what today is about, is putting that quilt up in the air and making the tent even bigger. And thinking about the folks we may not have invited to have the conversation, or folks that have been in here for a long time building it together with us, and trying to make it, fine-tune it, cover more kids, deal with the issues of stress with our children. The fact that one out of, and you may not know this, 1 out of every 10 families in North Carolina is serving in the military. I mean, we have huge issues in our state. And like Dick said, we're changing dramatically. So the tent is up. And thanks to the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation, the Smart Start partnerships, and our other partners, which are in your program, and I will acknowledge shortly, have been able to bring this tent to all of us so that we can have these additional conversations for the next year about what makes sense, what other piece needs to be put in. Is it the triangle, or is it sort of this funky looking oblong, and how fast can we stitch to be sure it does what we all want to happen for young children in this state. Now, it's, you know, Dr. Shonkoff talked about this a little bit, and we need to be careful. You know, it's not, there's always pressures on the outside. There's always some either unintended consequences or, in fact, forces of evil that make us get confused. And instead of looking outside the tent for new pieces to stitch, we start picking at each other. And we can't do that now. We cannot do it. Now, there'll be people who think it's a great idea to do one thing or another. The fact of the matter is we have incredible systems in this state that we have worked really hard to hold together. And they are important for the economic and human future in North Carolina. So we're not going to let the shooting inside the tent happen. We're going to keep stitching the pieces to the quilt to make it bigger and better. And I know, because I know who you are, even though you thought you were retired, even though you thought you'd done this for 30 years, I'm looking at some of my close friends here. It's not over yet. And so we have this great opportunity, and we have additional work to do. And so I challenge you, and this is the return part. We have to speak to the things that we must protect. We must protect this huge community network that we've built for Smart Start and the work that we have done associated with that. We must protect the Mort 4 high-quality pre-kindergarten programs. We must protect and grow our workforce so that we have community colleges and 4-year degrees that keep our people moving forward. Because if they have better jobs, they pay more taxes, and they're better with their children, and we have less responsibility to repair things. So we have to protect those things. There has to be a short list of must-haves. We must take good, solid care of the children with disabilities and children that have special needs. We must invest in prevention for our children. We need them to be thinner and busier and move more. We need to work with partners that have been incredible partners for us across the years to keep those children healthy and strong. And that's ours to do. And it's not just the advocacy piece, because I know most times, most folk hear me talk and go, oh God, there she goes again. I'm going to have to go write letters to my senator. I'm going to have to go down and do Tuesdays for Tots. Yes, you are going to have to do that. But in addition to that, we need to think new. We need to think big ideas. We need to stretch, because this is the moment. Now, you know, everybody goes, oh my God, we don't have jobs. There's not. Okay, but we can get out of this. That is, you have to say, you know, any of us who've lived in North Carolina for even a little while know 'tis the nature of who North Carolinians are. We can find our way to the next place. And I know that we can do that for young children in North Carolina. So that's it. not much work, no big issues, an incredible opportunity for us to move forward and make North Carolina, and you know, after a while, some of them may move out of state, so it's probably, we're improving more than just our state, to improve our state and our country as we build this incredible, incredible tent that covers us all and protects our children for the future. So I challenge you to that. We will be in touch. These brown sheets, we really do mean give us your ideas. And the coalition is huge, and you are welcome, we are open. This is not an invitation-only crowd. You can see from the partners that have been involved already, and they are in your packet. We have an incredible breadth of folks that have been committed for a long time, and we make progress every day on new fronts. So I personally want to thank the Department of Public Instruction and June Atkinson, Peggy Ball from the North Carolina Child Care Coalition, Cindy Bennett from the North Carolina Division of Child Development, Barb Bradley and the rest of the staff from the Action for Children, Lanier Kanzler from DHHS, and Leah Devlin and Kevin Ryan from the Department of the Division of Public Health, Marion Earls, the president of the North Carolina Pediatric Society, Melinda Lawrence from the North Carolina Justice Center, Deborah Nelson from the Early Childhood Comprehensive Systems Grant, and Sam Odom and the rest of the staff, Kelly Maxwell and Dick Clifford at the Frank Porter Graham Child Development Center Institute, and John Pruitt from the Office of School Readiness. Those have been our active partners so far. We are open to many more, and over the course of the year, as we have these community meetings, which we're going to organize across North Carolina, I encourage you to bring your ideas and bring your friends so that this big tent gets bigger, richer, brighter, and offers a future for our children that we might not have seen at any other time. So thank you for your time, and thank you for your commitment to young children in North Carolina.